1.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Roundtable's Magic Podcast, where we occasionally talk about ponies. Today, I'm joined by Total Toon Critic, and also Voice of Dodger, and Wow ANY, and Golden Cox, and...
Wow, really?
There we go.
Well,
and
I do know it's made of gold, so yeah.
Cox with a COX, and Lightning Bliss, because there's no one else on the podcast.
AKA hashtag not safe for bliss.
Yeah. And today...
Sterling. He's a recurring guest, so it could be Lightning Sterling or something.
Oh, the Garbage Man.
PG-13 Bliss.
Welcome to the Roundtable is Live podcast. Today, we are talking about fanfics. Now, what are fanfics? They're fictions made by fans. Some are good, some are bad, and we're going to talk about both of them. So, as the rules are stated, we say we have one good fic, one bad fic, and we try to... It's very hard to talk about one particular thing, but try to keep your things at least shorter when you're talking about it, unless it opens up a discussion, because we do not need this podcast to go over like 2 hours like the actual co-optional podcast.
Yeah, let's not try to do that.
I mean... Okay, so I'm going to start this because I am your host with the most. I have always been the host. I've been the puppet master this whole time.
Mutiny!
So.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with a good fic. Now this fic is amazing, and it's called Sweet and Sour.
Oh, great. I think I already know what this is.
Just kidding. I'm not going to talk about that because it's not completed yet. But if you guys want to check out Sweet and Sour, I'm going to tell Toon to put a link to the description of whenever this is uploaded. Sweet and Sour is the fanfic ANY is working on, and I do character designs for the cover art and everything. So go check it out.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Sorry. Listen. Today I've had a really rough day. I've had a lot of stuff in my throat.
Yeah, okay, but the fic I actually want to talk about is Changeling Queen by Wanderer D. Now, it's a one-shot fanfic, but it is one out of all the fanfics I've read, because I do dramatic readings on my channel, and I love listening to horror fics and grimdark and stuff. It's especially about changelings, because changelings are one of my favorite things the series has made, and especially how the fandom has made it. I just absolutely adore changelings. And the way this fic shows the aftermath of what happens after a Canterlot wedding, it makes you actually both fear and sympathize with Chrysalis. The basic plot of the story is the Changeling Kingdom is dying because Chrysalis is suffering from pretty much mortal wounds from being blasted from Canterlot after a Canterlot wedding. And as a way to get revenge on Twilight, but to also keep her hive alive, she basically turns Twilight into the queen of the changelings so she can start her own hive. And a lot of the fic is basically going through Twilight trying to resist the urge to feed on love and create the hive, and eventually succumbing to it, knowing that it's like, no, I can love these people forever if I make my hive and everything. And it's so good. I love how they write Twilight. I love how they write Chrysalis, because you could tell how much Chrysalis does care for her people, but still all the resentment for what happened in a Canterlot wedding. But I think my favorite part about it is the ending, because it's so chilling. Because the ending is actually so... Because put Spike in a cocoon. And then it cuts to... And Rainbow Dash comes in and all this stuff. But then it cuts to Celestia visiting her student, and everything seems all happy and dandy, but there's these slight hints when it's writing. It's like everyone just seems a little bit happier, a little bit more invigorated when they get compliments. Twilight's being a little bit more touchy-feely. And just how peaceful the ending is, and Twilight being like, you should take a seat, princess, there's plenty to eat, and all this stuff. It's so chilling because you know what's going to happen, but they don't put it in your face. It's just like the quiet before the storm, knowing what's going to happen next. And I think it's genius. It's one of the best one-shots I've read. I do a reading of it on my channel. I did it for Month of Macabre last year. And I have like Scribbler and our friend Dragonfire Princess and a bunch of stuff. A bunch of great voice actors for it, and even ANY's in it. But
yay! Nobody recognizes me.
I know everyone was actually kind of surprised you were the head medic in that fic. But like, it's such a great fiction. Like, go read it. Listen to the audio drama if you want. It's like 47 minutes long, but it's such a great fic. It's one of the best changeling fictions I've ever read, and I think it's severely underrated for a one-shot. So, I think I'm going to pass it off to the guy in the red with a top hat on his head who knows how to get out of bed. British Ninja. Toon Critic. You are actually a writer yourself, so this is going to be interesting.
Yes, actually. Fun fact, way back in the day, I used to write a lot of fan fictions. I mostly centered around Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. I'm not linking that anywhere. I jumped from that eventually to Power Rangers fanfics and then writing my own original story, but nobody cared, so I'm like, well, never mind then. Yeah, I've been a writer since since I was 12, I think. So writing is just really natural for me. By the way, yeah, since Key hijacked this, we have our special guest ANY with us.
Yay!
I said ANY was here.
You did it in a weird way.
Yes, it was a way that ANY would appreciate it because it's referencing the Co-Optional Podcast, the best podcast on Twitch.
Woo!
Well, it's not better than...
I just wanted to say, isn't this kind of blasphemy saying this as a regular member of an ongoing podcast happening right now on Twitch?
Well, okay, best non-brony podcast.
Good save.
Fair enough. Good enough. Yeah, so, my favorite fanfic is Memory. And I am blanking on the name of the person. I read this fanfic a long time ago on FlameAmigo619 Reads, but the story about it's a Twilight and Spike story. And Spike has grown up quite a lot, and this is when Twilight is on, her last legs. And it's sort of a back and forth flashback story about Twilight's passing and how Spike is basically dealing with it. But the reason that I love it so much is I love how it portrays Luna, I love how it portrays Spike and Twilight in it. I think the best thing from it is the overall message from it, which is, as long as there's one person out there that remembers you, you're not truly dead. And that it's a very powerful thing about memories. I remember reading that when I lost a friend around that time, so getting to read that story kind of helped me through a bit of a bad time, so that's why it's one of my favorites. Oh, by the way, I should mention, we're free to talk about Clapfix now in this, so if that happens...
Well, good to know. We're not going to do it anyway. Is there any other specific aspects about the story that you really like?
Well, let me think. I don't know why. I like how somber it feels, a little bittersweet near the end, but it kind of pulls you back in a good way, I think. It's a great story. I definitely recommend it. I think, oh god, well, I'm trying to remember the author's name because I know I have it saved. They changed the name of the story too to A Summer's Twilight. I know it starts with an L. I'll worry about it later. I'll just link it in the description. But yeah, it's a great story. Let's see, who am I going to pass it on to? I am going to pass it on to ANY.
Yay! Hello, guys. So yeah, I guess I will start with if we all start with the good ones, this will leave a kind of bitter taste at the end when we only have bad ones left, isn't it?
We do the bad ones last, so.
Okay. So I will probably focus on the good one as well. The good one I'm going to pick shouldn't come as a big surprise. It's a not too long story, somewhere around the half of 100k words. It's an adventure story, mostly focusing on one known character from the show. But basically all the main six and everybody has a little bit of an cameo or coming or plays a smaller part in it. And obviously the fiction I'm talking about is The Best Night Ever by Captain Chrysalid.
Ooh.
You were thinking Hard Reset Key, weren't you?
No.
Hard Reset, which I still consider best fiction ever. I will gush about it at some point in a review video, so stay tuned for this. But no, today I wanted to actually talk about a fiction that also, I believe it's not totally underrated. I mean, it has nearly 50,000 views on FanFiction, so it can't be too unpopular. But it's a amazing story. I loved it when I first came across it. I had it sitting in my read later list for very long, because what intrigued me about it right away was the cover, which is basically a very direct reference to the movie The Groundhog Day, with the face of Prince Blueblood kind of imprisoned in a waking clock, alarm clock, and Rarity being the smirking female counterpart in the foreground. Now, as a big fan of the Groundhog Day movie, I was always kind of intrigued by it, and I saw that it got ratings. So at some point, I'm very glad to say I picked it up. Basically, as the name already hints, The Best Nights Ever, it is centered around a certain Grand Galloping Gala, and it has Prince Blueblood as the protagonist, and even more as a likable protagonist. The story itself.
Lies.
Yes,
That's impossible.
I know. It gives him, even though it starts with the canon events of the Candlelight Wedding, I want to point out. It basically starts with giving a little bit of insight into his perspective on the Candlelight Wedding, how he basically identifies Rarity right away as a gold/fame digger, and therefore treats her intentionally mean. And this kind of makes sense. I mean, if you are a celebrity and you have girls throwing themselves your way all the time, you might develop a certain game you play with it every now and then. So first of all, you created a setup for the making Blueblood relatable and likable in the context of a Great Galloping Gala. And it continues basically with the story idea for the Groundhog Day, namely that he is trapped in reliving the same day, or in this case, the same night, over and over again, going beyond madness and back, going through many of the themes the movie also goes through without feeling like a complete ripoff. It still feels completely working and not contrived within the show canon. And he even goes through, lets himself get checked up for medical treatments and whatnot. He has a phase where he starts to abuse it. He has a phase where he gives up. He has a phase where he kind of gets back into it. And it all comes together very nicely. It is a very well-written story. It is very lovable. It gives you a likable Blueblood. I said this like 4 times by now, but it still is an amazing factor for a story I just want to mention. It captures the feeling of Groundhog Day without feeling like a rip-off. It has its own very nice humor. It has very cute and likable moments. And yeah, I highly recommend it. The Best Night Ever by Captain Chrysalid. Or Chrysalide, or whatever you spell it.
I'll put it in the description, don't worry. They'll get it right. Alright, who do you pass it on to?
Oh, I now have to pick somebody. Lightning, you're so quiet. Say something.
Say something!
Talk now.
I'm not... just because I just simply do not have the time to read them, but thankfully, there are people who actually do the reading for me, and all I have to do is sit and listen while I do my work.
Just wanted to say there are a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah, they are.
I recently discovered that, but I'm very picky about it. So yeah, it's thanks to Dr. Wolf that I'm actually into fanfics now slightly. That being said, I would have to say the one that kind of hit me in the core, like maybe tear up, maybe giggle, maybe angry at times, like hitting all the emotions at the right time, in the right place. It had to be Keepers of Discord.
Nice.
I mean, this basically takes place in a what if Discord was never released, and basically the elements of harmony and the main six would eventually die off, and as each one dies off, the elements of harmony basically become weakened, and he is eventually going to be released. But before that time, and Celestia, knowing after what he said back in the episode when he was first released, is that I don't turn people into stone. To being turned into stone does not mean I can't hear or see anything. So the story kind of reflects upon that Celestia realizes that, man, he must have been tortured for thousands of years just being trapped, and the only thing he can do is listen and hear. And he's still alive in there. It's not like he's asleep or dormant. No, he is physically alive and self-aware. So with that in mind, in this fanfic, basically she realizes this and feels like, you know, the least we could do is keep him company. And so she hired a special job to a single pony to be basically the gardener and to keep his statue clean and maybe even read him a story or just talk to him. And this will continue on for generations of this pony. You know, like, she got married and they had kids, and then their kids had kids, and then their kids had kids, and each one of them was designated with the job of taking care of this statue. And the whole time, it's like we are hearing him see and hear the stories of the ponies who are taking care of him. And, like, there are times where I feel like he legitimately doesn't care, but there are subtle hints that he actually does, and he's feeling these new emotions, these emotions that he originally didn't have before, and he was confused by them. And I don't know, it just got me thinking of, man, can you imagine that turmoil of just being stuck in the same place for Lord knows how long, and the only company you have is this group of people coming to look after your statue. Yeah, it was pretty deep fanfic, man. Yeah, I guess I'm a sucker for those. So, I am not entertaining. I am going to pass it off to somebody. Boise.
Okay, so
You are entertaining, Bliss. You shush.
all right. Well, everyone knows that. Let's talk about the format of the show first before I actually get to the fic I'm going to be talking about. Basically, how the format of the show started is that Twilight is to report back on her lessons of friendship to Princess Celestia, and as the seasons went on, we found out more people send out their letters of friendship to Celestia, write in the diary, and then eventually they skip the diary wholesale, and yeah, it's a pretty standard format. But what if, again, just follow me on this one, what if someone was kind of miffed at the lessons they were learning? So my pick for the fanfic is Letters from a Disgruntled Friendship Student by MilesPrower06.
Okay, first off, the author name is like top shelf material there. Seriously?
Yeah, that's
You scared Golden to death because he thought that you picked the fanfic that he wants to do, and the boy has only read 2 fanfics.
Yeah. I'll get to that in a bit.
Okay, so yeah, my pick for one of my favorite fanfics is Letters from a Disgruntled Friendship Student. This is a take on what if Twilight was absolutely mad at Celestia for having to deal with all the crazy stuff that happens in Ponyville. And what's great about this is it basically tackles each episode. You can take whatever chapter, and you could read it without continuity. So you can decide to, I want to check out, let's say, Fall Weather Friends, and they talk about like how how basically like how we go from spring to winter, back to summer, back to fall, and they say, you know what, Ponyville's ecosystem is completely shot.
So they also include a lot of meta humor on the weird things.
Yeah.
Show.
Yes. It's an alternate. Yeah, it's an alternate universe, and it's basically a parody fic. So
I love parody fics.
So you would have stuff like in Party of One, where Twilight says like, yes, you've been sending me on this this whole friendship lesson. Like, can I go home now? Pinkie Pie's starting to scare me. Or, by far, the best one, and that is, of course, from A Bird in the Hoof. Dear Princess Celestia, your pet bird is a dick! And that's it. It is probably the funniest fanfic I've ever read, alongside... Oh, God. I don't know, probably one of the stories from Monster Mash, probably... the Rarity gets turned into a vampire story from Monster Mash. I highly recommend everyone pick it, add it to their favorites or their read later list on FanFiction. You can basically start from anywhere, and it's just one of the best parody things I've ever watched, alongside like Ultra Fast Pony and Camaraderie Supernatural. So. With that, I shall pass it on to Golden Fox.
Oh, and just to point out, sorry about this, but Letters from a Disgruntled Princess to Friendship Student is actually nearly up to date.
Yeah, it's down.
So he is continuing to do this for every episode.
Yes.
Wow.
Sorry, Fox.
Okay. So yeah, I was scared at first that I thought Voice of Reason was going to pick that I was going to go for, because yeah, I've read very, very few fanfics. In fact, I'm not really the biggest fan of fanfics. Some people are into it, that's fine. It just never caught my interest. No, one of the things is I don't have the patience to read, like, a story.
Why don't you just listen to an audiobook, then?
Because it's lazy. You should do it like the old-fashioned...
Excuse me, the person who makes audio dramas!
Oh, boy.
I'm insulted about that, you piece of shit!
Oh, great!
There goes the rating!
A real reader should actually read something.
You don't get to say your fanfic choice!
No, not that to me.
No! You have been...
Are you serious?
You are banished from this podcast. Shame! Done! Shame.
Well, this took a turn I was not expecting.
Everyone shame the non-believer.
Shame.
Alright, everyone's actually looking upset. Say your pick, sweetie. But apologize!
I'm sorry.
Okay, good. Love you.
Love you, Goldilocks! Shutting up.
Anyways, yeah, I'm not a fan of fanfics because I just don't have the patience of reading through one, and I prefer just going through a traditional method and just go and read word for word and not, listen to an audio. Some people are into audio. That's fine.
We don't enable laziness. We enable productivity. Anyway, what is the fic?
Anyways, this fic is called Yours Truly. And what it's about the main six moving on with their lives. And keep in mind, this was written back in 2012, I think. It was directed to me by Paleo Steno when he was popular in the fandom at the time, and he was very active on Tumblr. So the main six are moving on with their lives based on their personal goals. Mary continuing with her career in fashion. Rainbow Dash is about to join the be a part of the Wonderbolts. Twilight has started becoming a teacher at a school somewhere, teaching lessons to some young kids. And somewhere along the way, there's a connection between both Twilight and Applejack. Who's the author? Hang on. Thankful. I can't pronounce that right. It's Thanquol.
Thankful.
Thankful, yeah.
Okay, what do you like about the fic?
Anyways, what I like about the fic is that, unlike most that just tell from a third-person perspective or first-person perspective, this one, I don't know if they're laid out in chapters or not, but they're each told through each individual point of view by a letter. There's one letter that says, Dear Princess Celestia, and it's from this character's story, or the letter. You'll hear one from Twilight, you'll hear one from Pinkie Pie, you'll hear one from Rarity,
So,
etc.
kind of like the diary in season 4.
Yes, pretty much.
I still think
And
that's pretty cool.
I actually like that. You know, it's something I think is very different from the usual standard. Not that I have anything against that. But like I said, there is a connection between both Twilight and Applejack. Like, it's supposedly a romantic relationship, but...
Oh my.
What?
Oh my.
No, but the relationship, like, I just think of it like, it's kind of labeled as somewhat of a romance, but to me, it's more of, what is that term called? Platonically?
What's up?
Yeah.
Got it.
But where's the fun in that if they don't screw?
In response to Kion Craze, I think there's a Q&A somewhere that Paleo had in his old channel. I'll have to look that one up, but yeah, that's my pick for my favorite fanfic. I think that's like the only one that I actually read through entirely.
Well, okay then. So we
now go on to
we
our
now
least favorites.
we now go into reverse.
Before we get to
Okay.
that, I want to point out that someone actually did swap our colors.
Yes. I just wanted to say myself, as an intermission, there is a certain image drawn.
I want to see this.
Oh,
Linked at the
dear.
side as well.
Look at this.
Is it in the?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Look
boy.
at this.
Toon looks kind of happy, doesn't he?
I don't look right. I feel very uncomfortable.
Son belong.
And I just on Weasley, like with red hair and everything.
You look like Rupert Grint.
Yes, isn't this an actor of One Weasley?
And why? You look so white. Said the whitest one in the picture.
It looks like if the faded part, like the faded light brown of his muzzle and everything, took over his body.
I'm gonna link this in the description for those who are curious about
He
it. But
kind
what?
of look like the hair. He kind of looks like a male version of real life me.
I'm trying to load the darn thing. Load, darn you! Oh, there we go. Whoa!
And I want to say,
Hello.
Key, you look like Scribbler.
I do. Oh my god! Got some pink into the hair, and I'm Key Bab Scribbles.
Keep have Scribbler.
Oh god, put on the top hat and I could be Toon Blistermon.
Oh,
You look like you fell into like. I'm gonna get hit for this. You look, Bliss. You look like you fell into a vat of Kool-Aid.
She looks
Zach,
like
come here.
she fell
No,
asleep.
I'm okay. No,
I
I'm
want
okay.
to talk to you.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm quite alright.
It looks like she fell asleep while tanning and only put sunscreen on her like the tips of her hooves.
Yeah, I think I need to see a doctor.
I like how Bliss and Toon actually have emotions, and me and ANY kind of just are looking at each other like,
Hey.
no, it's just like, huh? You don't look half bad. My hair looks like a blue cotton candy.
Actually, no. I take
Instead
it
of a
back.
red
Bliss
hot
looks like
pan.
she fell into a vat of Edge.
I look like I had way too much chocolate.
Zach.
It's like I was a very sloppy eater. I went to Germany to get all that German chocolate and just dived into the fondue tray.
I tell you guys that at Bronycon, some really sweet guy from Switzerland, he just gave me and Swiffle a stack of chocolates from his country.
Like,
That chocolate was so good, though. It really was good.
I wanted to bring it home, but I knew it wouldn't survive the trip. It would have melted, and it's just that Switzerland knows how to make chocolate. And all I could do was share it with friends. Couldn't share it with my family.
Anyway, let's get back to the point. Fox, what is your least favorite fanfic?
Take it away, baby.
Alright, this is going to sound very cliche to a lot of you, but let's just say that, people do have tastes in some dark territory, and that's fine. But while this fanfic was entirely influential in regards to Pinkie Pie, I still hate it. It's Cupcakes. Because it's taking Pinkie Pie and making her look like a complete psychopath, which some people could presume or theoretically think about if you're, overthinking about the implications in a kid's show. But it's not fitting for me to see Pinkie Pie go into a psychopath, kidnap Rainbow Dash, and then just gut her apart. And that's all what goes on. It's just her gutting apart Rainbow Dash with a bunch of random puns.
But baby,
yeah.
you better get ready to die. Get ready to die.
Yeah.
I like what
Mr. Davey.
Mr. Davey. I appreciate what Mr. Davey has done with his work, but I still don't like the fic because
there is one good thing that Cupcakes has spawned.
Because
somebody who had talk on Cupcakes and spent a bit of money.
I was going to say Rocket to Insanity, which is a really good fiction.
That's a dark fic. I recommend it, but it's dark.
Yeah. Will actually did a reading of it for Month in the Cup. It's basically all the events of Cupcakes was a nightmare Rainbow Dash had, and Rainbow basically gets into this state of constant paranoia around Pinkie until it gets to the point where the paranoia overwhelms her so much that when Pinkie hands her a cupcake, she kills Pinkie.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's such a good progression of a mental breakdown. I love it. But yeah, the first story itself kind of blows.
Yeah, it blows because it's just it just feels like the entire thing is filled with nothing but shock value because Pinkie could be a psychopath. Ooh, and that's all what it was saying. It's very shallow. It's like it feels pointless. It feels dragged on for too long. Just like I'm dragging this on for too long. There really isn't much to say.
There really isn't much to say. Cupcakes has just been, in my opinion, the most overrated fanfic that we have. And compared to most of the stories we have today...
You think it's more overrated than, what is it called? My Little Dashie?
No, I like My Little Dashie, alright? No, Cupcakes has gotten to the point where it's overrated because at the time, the shock factor blew everyone out of the water, but now I've read fanfics that are a lot darker than that, like Rainbow Factory.
I've heard the audio of that, and that was just like, what? Where are these people coming from? Why do these nasty dark fics?
When you read Sweet Apple Massacre, it makes Cupcakes look like
I know what Sweet Apple Massacre is. That was the audio of it.
I know, but anyway,
but still, like.
Anyway, are you going to pass it on?
Yeah. Who went before me?
I think it was.
Before you.
All right.
Yeah.
Voice.
Yeah, it was Voice.
Okay. All right. I have a little confession to make. I have not read any bad fanfics. No, I haven't. I gone actively out to seek fanfics, and I've been disappointed with. However, I have seen a bad fanfic.
Oh dear.
I've experienced watching a bad fanfic.
Oh no.
And that is Double Rainbow.
Oh boy.
Holy hell! I hate this story.
I feel so much better now that you did that. So when I get to my choice, I don't feel like I'm cheating.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for those who do like this. This is one of the worst written stories I've ever had the privilege of viewing.
But boys, the Powerpuff Girls are in it, and Rainbow Dash and breaking the fourth wall.
Rainbow Dash is not in that. That is a parody of Rainbow Dash that people try to take seriously.
But the animation quality is so good. It's like an actual episode.
Bull crap. The editing in that is some of the worst I've seen for animation.
There were times when the animation was good, and there were times where it could have been better. Even I'm an animator, and I can admit I saw some faults, but it was entertaining animation-wise. Story-wise, it was forced in a lot of areas.
Holy hell! Okay.
looking back nowadays, the troll face doesn't seem as such a contrived pop culture reference anymore with the stuff given that actually gets included in the show nowadays.
Yeah.
Winter is coming. And
I
so
still find that funny.
yeah. Anyway, so like, what do you have to say about Double Rainbow? Or are you
Screw
done?
that.
Oh,
And now I pass it on to
I
Lady.
love what Cellspec said. Sorry to interrupt.
What?
To be fair, Double Rainbow does Powerpuff Girls a lot better than the new show.
Oh!
Yeah, even I'll admit, yeah.
Oh snap, she didn't.
Oh, by the
sorry.
way, chat, real quick, I've just actually noticed this. Thanks to Captain Butter, we've actually hit our little goal there at the bottom. So guess what? In a future Roundtable's Magic, we're going to all sit down and review a fanfic. We don't know what fanfic, but we're going to review a fanfic.
Hi, Little Dashy. Everybody post in the chat. We want my Little Dashy review.
Actually, everyone in the chat put review of Sweet and Sour.
No, like everybody should put down Rainbow Factory.
If we're gonna do Rainbow Factory, we need to have and Lost narrator because Lost hates that fic.
Oh dear. All right. Bliss, I believe it was your turn next.
I
Oh, like,
will
about
not
it.
want
love
to
the song.
Equestria.
Are we good?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, we're good. All right. To be fair, I haven't really read a whole lot of fanfics to say I like them, so this one will be a bit of a stretch. I would say it's not bad. It's very well written, and I suck as a writer to begin with. So, it's not badly written, but I don't like the topic because it made me cringe. And I can't remember what it was called either, but y'all will probably know what I'm talking about when I describe it. Basically, Pinkie Pie is making cookies. Like, Mrs. Cake, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, my Skype says I'm offline, but anyway. Basically, Mrs. K gave Pinkie Pie some extra cookie dough as a reward for all her good work. So, Pinkie Pie goes through all the effort of making these cute little kitten cookies. One is really big, and the other three are really small, and one of the big one becomes sentient and comes to life.
Yeah. This is the cake story, but with cookie cats.
Spoiler.
Yeah. The thing is, though, once the big cookie cat comes to life and realizes that Pinkie Pie is eating her sisters, pretty much, she basically the cookie cat runs for its life because it's about to get eaten alive by its creator, and happens to run to Fluttershy, and Fluttershy obviously protects it from Pinkie Pie, but Pinkie Pie basically yells, "It's not a living thing, it's just a cookie. I don't know how it came to life, but it's mine, give it back." And the thing is clearly alive, and it has feelings, and it's even talking.
And
Bliss,
it's like-
Bliss. You know what you're describing? You're describing almost the plot for the Gingerbread Man horror movie.
Yeah. I don't like these kind of topics where you basically are asking yourself, where do you draw the line that something is sentient? I mean, consider this. Pigs are the #1 smartest animal to date. No joke. Compared to dolphins or chimpanzees, no. Pigs are rated #1, the most intelligent beings in the animal kingdom, with the exception of us. And we eat them every day!
And even there are exceptions. I have met people who are actually dumber than the average pig.
Sounds like someone's not a fan of Sausage Party.
Someone apparently is Donald Trump.
But, yeah, so was that all you had to say?
I just don't. The topic was an interesting one, but it's those kind of topics I really don't like because they just make me uncomfortable. Not to mention, how did the thing come to life anyway? It was never explained. It just happened.
Magic.
It just happened.
Magic.
It's magic. We don't have to explain it.
Honestly, yeah.
Yes, you do.
Anyway, pass it on.
I'm done.
Back to ANY, I believe.
Back to ANY. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yay! So I basically have two, and we have to pick which one I'm actually going to rant about in length. We have one which was actually one of the first ones I read, and I totally loved it, and I returned to it, and I realized how bad it actually is. Or I have the one which I rage quit. You guys can pick.
That's the one you rage quit.
I want to hear. I want to hear the one where that disappointed you when you read it forward like a crushed childhood dream.
Okay, so far it's 1-on-1. Other votes?
The one that made you really mad.
Okay.
I guess we're going to rage quit.
All the quiet people are dust. Okay. So I'm not talking about those blue wings, but instead I'm talking about Griffin the Griffin.
Oh!
What is this one?
He already knows how much I can rant about this one.
He went on, no joke, an hour-long rant about this fiction, and then he linked me it, and I thought that was an insult to me.
I also linked it to Voice of Reason at some point, I believe.
Yeah, because you were talking about Gilda. I was in the call when you linked it.
Yeah. So basically, here's the thing that I would have loved this to just be one of those cliche self-insurgent power fantasy fanfics that nobody cares about because they are like a million in a dime or whatever the phrase is saying.
Dime a dozen, that's the term.
A dime a dozen, whatever. Exactly, this one. So, but the sad thing is, this thing is popular, and it's freaking long. It's like 350,000 words, which is obviously the longer stuff, but this is like, I would say past since long. This is like above the average novel you buy in a bookstore. Long. And it's finished, so, and it has a rating of 3,000 thumbs up to 200 thumbs down.
Yikes.
But here's my problem. Yeah, and the thing is that I guess what mostly annoys me about this fiction is that how much it kind of reflects on the people reading it. I mean, it starts out great. I mean, it has the tags: sex, gore, adventure, alternative universe, human, comedy, romance, slice of life. So basically everything is in there. I mean, then again, it's long enough, so no surprise. I cannot actually spoil it because, as I mentioned, I rage quit after chapter 10 because I was really like, please, at some point turn good. It starts out with the average human underdog who is also a brony. The weird thing about him is he has super great survival skills. He knows martial arts. He is super smart, but he's still a social outcast and very cynical and depressed about everything. So, but yeah, and he's a total smart ass all the time. This guy would be fucking popular in school. Damn it, there goes the rating again. This guy would be bullying others, especially with his attitude. He would not be the one being bullied. This is the premise alone is like something is off. You know, as I said, I assume it's self-insurgent or power fantasy, whatever, because he probably is bullied all the time, but he doesn't. And he is a brony, but he probably cannot do martial arts, and he has not great survival skills and leadership skills and whatnot. So there's basically where this disconnection comes from between the character we see and how he is part of the world. Then, and basically end of chapter 1 is like he is sitting in a alone. I want to point out he is sitting absolutely alone with all the other bronies in some kind of cyber coffee where he is checking out pony stuff on the internet. Because bronies are completely alone because they never find each other and connect or something.
I know.
Wink.
And then I don't know what exactly happens. Either he gets an email or somebody sits next to him and is basically asking him, hey, would you like to go to Equestria and would you like to go there instead of real world? And he's like, yeah. And the next chapter he wakes up as a Griffin Equestria.
And then he comes in and says, here, have that, you can become an Earth pony or a or a Pegasus, and then you have to go and have sex with all the main 6 members, and Derpy and Zecora and Celestia and I'm talking about Banned from Equestria
I
Daily.
was just about to say that.
No.
Sadly has a more reasonable plot than this.
It honestly does.
But yeah, so it basically continues with him. I try to speed it up a bit now. Basically, he comes in, he bumps into Gilda right away. He barely can fly. He's just testing out flying, and she is like, "Oh, dweeb, whatever." And so he starts out a little bit as a loser once he gets there, but he obviously instantly learns how to fly rather quickly. And 2 minutes arrived in Equestria, still being in kind of an argument with Gilda, a dragon appears. And even though he has never been there, he has never fought in his entire life, because he is such an underdog, he instantly is able to kill a freaking dragon.
What? What?
And this is not big of a spoiler, because it's actually the cover of the story. Yes, the average brony nerd just travels to Equestria and kills a dragon.
I hate stories like that. That is my least favorite.
Tell him how he kills the dragon.
The dragon basically swallows him, and he is like, "Oh, I'm a griffin, and I have sharp claws," so he decapitates him inside. Something that apparently no other griffin has ever realized, that they have sharp claws.
What?
He basically brings the concept of realism to Equestria, and is the only one who is able to apply it.
Oh, of course. I would have rage quit this story too.
This is chapter 2 we are talking. I managed to go to chapter 10, and I challenge each one of you to get further.
Okay.
No.
Challenge accepted.
No. I know my limits, and I want to live.
But yeah, to wrap up to this point to which I got, so basically he and Gilda bond. They are not shipped yet, but given that it has romance and sex in the...
I know where this story is going.
I pretty much can tell where this is going, because has anybody ever seen Zero Punctuation about webcomics?
Yeah.
Yahtzee takes in one of his episodes a take on webcomics, and he is describing the protagonist, who is an unlikable douche, who is just doing shenanigans, but who has his best friend and his female love interest / sidekick, who both take up with all his nonsense and his craziness all the time, and actually fall for his unlikable, snarky character. This is one to one exactly how this main character feels. And he's basically like, "Oh well, you Griffins." Oh, and I forgot, he obviously travels through Ponyville and manages to meet every single one of the main 6 without any context. He just bumps into them as random encounters.
Okay.
At least the story is realistic in this kind of way, that he basically alienates everybody and makes them cry instantly. What probably would happen if this kind of brony ever actually gets to Equestria.
Heaven forbid.
But yeah, and I only got so far that he makes basically plans to rise the Griffins out of being an inferior race and take over Equestria or whatnot, and he and Gilda travel around to make preparations. And the moment where I basically was like, no, I cannot continue reading, is when they come to a new city, which is like, has a big wall surrounding it and a gate for all the people who want to get in to kind of pay a little bit of a fee. And they just stand in front of the city, and they are like, look at each other and are like, flying over the wall? Yeah, flying over the wall. And they just fly over the wall, because nobody else in the entirety of Equestria had ever had the idea that you can skip the fee post by flying over the wall. No, really. And this was like, okay, I'm done. I gave you 10 chapters to grow good in any way. Screw you, I'm going home. And yes, this is a story of me discovering Griffin the Griffin, the only story today I rage quit. I mean, I have not finished every story I ever picked up, but I had never had the feeling like, oh god, I can't continue reading this.
Yeah.
Enjoy! The challenge still stands.
I guess I'm up next, and I don't know how the heck I can top that.
Top hat.
Top hat, yes. Well, this is actually the part where cartoons would come out. But
They donated money.
they did donate money. So, I think it's only fair that I say to heck with that, honestly.
Oh my god,
No, they donated. You can't do that.
people gave you money, cartoons. You go back in Toon's body.
No. I have a perfect fanfic here. Come on. Listen. He's read
Fine,
some of the. Just let me
Give
say.
us their money back.
I will give him the body back after I say my little piece, and I'll let him describe the story. How about that? Fair enough?
It's the thing now that we can all switch to our alternate personalities.
Hey.
See, you get back in your cave.
Oh no! I'm perfectly cool with this dude over here,
But-
Surrounded by idiots.
and this cynical dude over here.
Oh,
Hey, hello, how are you doing?
What's it?
I haven't seen you in a while.
Light gonna come
I've
in?
been busy.
Okay, so my fanfic choice. Now, Toonie here has read a lot of fanfics, a lot, and he's often delved not into the bad territory, but into the crazy what the heck is going on parody sort of fanfics, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But there's one fanfic that I'm going to let him talk about. Adventures of a Teenage Full Sitter. And this is where I'll let him take into it. Okay. So, Adventures of a Teenage Full Sitter is a story loosely based around a Canterlot wedding. But, and since we passed this, by the way, I'm just gonna let people warning here, because we're gonna get into that kind of territory. So, this starts with Cadence when she's still full sitter for Twilight. She gets a crush on, Twilight's dad.
Oh, Nightlight.
And she witnesses Twilight's father and mother getting it on.
Oh, great.
To the point where she gets infatuated with Nightlight. And that ends up happening. This is the part where when I got to this part, I'm like, should I keep reading here? Because I realized there's like 20 more chapters after this. So I continued reading.
20 chapters to that.
There's a lot of chapters into this, but it only gets worse from here. So we find out that Cadence actually has some connections to the Changelings, and she wants desperately to get into Nightlight's pants. Even though she's married to Shining Armor, she wants in Nightlight's pants so badly. To the point where, I should mention, the way this fanfic was written, the author goes out of their way to take certain songs, twist the lyrics around, and turn it into a song fic around Cadence wanting to get screwed by Nightlight. It gets so much weirder because the ultimate twist, because no one's going to read this, the ultimate twist is that she is the one who creates the Changelings, stages the entire Canterlot wedding thing as a ruse so that she can get Nightlight alone for one night so that she can have his babies.
Freaking kidding me?
This results in Cadence being the ultimate villain. And
this night is going to be perfect. The perfect night with Nightlight I have dreamed all the time of. I don't like it.
Stop!
And it just goes on and on. It turns out that Chrysalis is actually the hero in this because she was basically treated like crap. And so Shining Armor and her just run away with some of the main six. They try to get into the Sweet Apple Acres for, safety, but they find out that that's basically an incestuous breeding ground, so they have to run, and then there's, sex, every chapter, and I'm just like, okay. I only made it to the end because the author didn't bother to finish the story. Maybe they did, I don't remember, but I got to the end where it was at the time, and I'm like, you know what? I've read my fair share of fanfics. This has got to be the worst one I've ever read, and I've read a lot of good worst fanfics. I've read a lot of good bad ones. I've written a few good bad ones. I love those, but there are some that just go right past it and just go into, no, I can't salvage this. I can't. I can't with this story. Adventures of a Teenage Full Sitter. If you want to read it, go ahead, but I don't recommend it.
How many chapters did you end up reading?
About 18.
So you read more chapters of this smut than I was able to take from Griffin the Griffin.
I like Clapfix. What can I say?
Oh my god.
I like them if they're
Toon.
done. Okay, first off, I like mine if they're done right, if they're written right, and they have a good flow to them. But that's all I'm gonna say on that, because of all the fanfics, why did it have to be like this? Why?
There's a little alicorn in the room.
I know. Hashtag
You
not
are
safe for
the-
bliss.
You are the second oldest person in this stream, Blissy.
Oh, am I older than me?
Maybe?
Well-
I'm old.
How
Well,
old are you?
don't ask a woman her age.
No, ask A and Y.
She
I was
asked
asking him why. He's not a girl.
I know what I said.
Oh.
You're
Did
close,
you?
Bliss. Bliss, you're 30, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're the second oldest.
Damn.
Wow.
God, he's not that old. I'm meaning by like just a few months.
Oh.
Oh.
Anyway, my pick is done. We are almost at an hour. We try to get these under with around 45 minutes or so, but so I'm just gonna pass this back to Key. Finish us off. What is the worst fanfic you've ever read?
Okay. So
Take it
I'm just
home.
saying this. I'm just saying this. If Voice was able to use Double Rainbow, I can use the one that I'm going to use now. It is a video, but it's basically Rarity's version of cupcakes.
Oh.
I know
That
what you're talking
video
about.
be Rarity's new patterns. God, there has never been a Brony animation that has made me rage as much as this, just by story. I'm not going to talk about the animation and everything, because that's not what's important here. But as a story, the basic plot is that Rarity gets hired to do a set of dresses for some important event in Canterlot with a very small window of time, like a week. In this short amount of time, keep in mind, she goes crazy after like a day and a half. And to this point of craziness, she kills and slices off all of her friend's fur
What?
to make into fabric patterns.
Question?
Yes?
Source filmmaker video about 4.5 million views.
Yep.
On my watch later list. Thank you.
Yeah. And then Sweetie is involved trying to escape, and Rarity has a moment of lucidity and she's just like, why would I want to kill Sweetie Belle when I could use my own fabric, be a piece of the artist, and kills herself with an axe?
What? What is this, American Psycho the Pony edition? What?
Okay. You know how I said that Rocket to Insanity is...
And there she goes.
There she goes.
And she derped.
Give it a second.
It was so bad that it killed her connection. Key.
Well, she took Fox with him.
Key.
Zach!
What?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Toon. Will tried to call me. Thank you, Will. Screw you, please. I'm trying to make a point. That's like legitimately a dick move, bro. But
He tried doing that to me too.
No. See, the reason why is because he had a hand with editing the story, and just that he had to make the lines readable.
Wait a minute. Lines. Is this an Ed Plus thing?
Yes.
Oh no. Okay, you know what? I'm backing away. I ain't touching this.
Now,
Nope.
Look, there's nothing against Will, because if this is what happened after he got through fixing the fic, I don't want to know how bad it was in the early stages. And look, nothing against Ed Plus, but if you make something bad and you put it out to the internet, you're open to criticism. Not even directing it at Plus. I said that Rock into Insanity and Changeling Queen are two great fictions to show the progression of a mental breakdown or basically succumbing to your wants. And Rocket 2 Insanity is a great example in the fact of a mental breakdown, because this is something Rainbow Dash goes through for a longer period of time, and it's something truly traumatic. Rarity gets to, and even with cupcakes, you can have there's the implication that Pinky has been doing this for such a long time that it's basically past the point of her feeling any kind of remorse or pain. There is at least an implication of how long time has gone and how long the pacing has been. Because if Rarity was completely normal, which she was at the beginning before she got this job, her snapping this easily, there is no setup to the reason why. It's a day and a half. We saw in Art of the Dress that she didn't even go crazy with such a short deadline like that. And this was made after season 1. And it's just like, how? Such a simple thing. Make the deadline a month. Make the deadline 2 months. Make it closer and closer. Show having to slowly go insane trying to meet these deadlines, but she can't. Her inspiration going down the tube, and that's why suddenly the fur of ponies seems so alluring. Have some mental stuff going on. You are working in a visual medium. You can tell so much without even saying anything. And you make the pacing so bad. It is one of the worst creepypastas I've ever read. It's one of the worst, watched. It's one of the worst stories when it comes to that. And it could have been an idea that could have worked so well. But they don't know how to use timing. It is sad when Cupcakes has better time pacing than this fiction. So, nothing against Ed Plus, but if you ever want to recreate this story, because I know this is an older video, recreate it and make it, and just make the timing much better. That's what I have to say. It's bad.
Whew, okay. So, we've made it to just above an hour. I think, when was the last time we had an hour-long podcast?
The opening episode.
Didn't we do Newbie Dash or No Second Prances? I could be wrong, but
I don't remember.
This is still very entertaining. So, if you've made it to the end of this, question for everyone in the comments: what has been the best fanfic you have ever read, and what is the worst fanfic you have ever read? And Key, what shall the people say at the end? I think you usually have your thing.
Yeah, if you make it this far, put in the comments, hashtag make any key canon. Now keep okay. Maybe that's not good without context of what that is. Hi, honey, I love you.
Yes,
that's not what I meant. Actually, change it to when's the next chapter of Sweet and Sour?
Or hashtag not safe for bliss.
Or hashtag not have a plethora of choices to choose. Or you can do hashtag third mistake.
That is also a good choice too. Alright, so with that being in mind, thank you all for turning out. For this next week's Roundtable's Magic will be on, well, songs from the show, and also songs from the fandom in general. We have not nailed down our guest yet. We're going to reveal that later. But I promise you, we will have somebody great for this. It'll be a musical guest. So, let's see. As always, if you would, I'm pretty sure everyone else got this. Yeah, everybody's been following during this. So if you would like to be notified whenever these streams happen, go ahead and click that watch button below. That gives you pretty much any notifications to when I do these. I do these Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Sundays are when the Roundtable is Magic. Tuesdays and Fridays are when I stream games. Speaking of, yeah, Tuesday, I actually got challenged by a friend. I'll be playing the Freddy Fish games on Tuesday, so that should be interesting, I think. I haven't done that in a while.
It's kind of sad that, like, the two hashtags that are trending in this chat right now are not safe for bliss and any key.
Oh, I love you guys.
People.
I love you guys.
Love you
You're
too,
all
buddy.
awesome. And yes, also big thanks for ANY for coming out to this podcast.
My pleasure.
I would just like to say,
Rent or getting to rent or fanboy over fanfiction is always a nice thing to do.
I would just like to say, this is actually more of a personal thing. ANY here is kind of how I got my first foot in the door, if you will, into this. I was on the CBD podcast, so ANY, do I have your permission to do the figurative passing of the torch now from the CBD to Roundtable is Magic?
Sure thing. I mean, CBD has been discontinued forever, so it is kind of, and you do it on a weekly basis on every Sunday, so it basically is the successor of it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
So
Any key is not safe for bliss. I like that.
so,
This is why there has to be a sock on the door at Nightmare Nights.
Oh my god!
this is going to turn out interesting.
Oh no!
And better yet, it's a
question.
what?
I have a question. I wanted to get mad munchy
What?
on a podcast.
What
It's
was
funny.
your-
It's funny you actually mentioned that, because when we do return on July 31st, Mad Munchkin is going to be our special guest for when he returns. So
Hooray.
Cover your ears, Blissy.
oh dear.
You're very, very large.
Yes.
Your very, very large ears.
You're very large. You just get
I
like
need a couple of pillows, please.
no, just get two ponies to lean against you because that'll cover up your ears.
Shut up.
Hashtag. There you go. In the comments of the videos, just put hashtag any key NSFB. It's beautiful.
There we go. They fused together. Anyway, thank you all for turning out to this podcast. Go ahead and leave your comments below. We will see you guys on the flip side. Stay awesome.
I am that.